just come from one of the pools, so we've got this kind of pool sensitive, very warm. It's got a rapidly diminished, I think. Oh, that looks so sturdy.
Yes. You do the one where you get on the ass and stand back up.
Okay. Okay. So tell us where we are, Valgeir.
We're in the garden behind my studio, which is in there.
Your studio is kind of like a spaceship.
Well, the entrance has all the equipment in it, so I think up there is more like a living room or something.
Yeah. And it seemed like you were having a pretty fun night the other evening.
Yeah.
The bedroom community night at Iðnú.
Yeah, definitely.
Can you tell me, you put that together, and how you came up with the lineup, and can you tell us some stuff about the artists that were featured?
Yeah, the lineup came about.
Let's slow this down. I'm going to start hurling.
I picked, Nico Muley is the first record that we released on the label.
Yeah.
And Ben Frost is just releasing his record next week.
He's an Australian guy.
He's an Australian who lives here. And Nico's from New York. So those two were kind of obvious choices. And then I picked myself as well.
It's modest of you.
Because I wanted to perform this material that I'm working on for my album live before I finish it.
Is that the first time that you've featured this material?
Yeah, it's the very first time. And then Sam Amidon, another New Yorker, came. This is someone we're working with on a few different projects. We have a record of his kind of in the pipes somewhere, and also working on things with me and Nico on Nico's project. And then the fifth act was Sigurdsson, who's like a long-time friend of mine that did a record with about 6 years ago, and we're planning to make another one for Bedroom Community. So
how long has the label been in existence?
It's only been going for about a year, we only released the first record about 2 months ago. So, but it's been an idea that's been taking shape over the last year.
Do you find it hard to split your time between doing your own work, the records you produce for other artists, and running the label, or have you got a pretty tight bunch of people who do it and you act more as an A&R role and a facilitator?
It's a bit of both. It's kind of have people working with me both in the studio, and everyone kind of works on everything, but my role is probably the kind of concept and idea and kind of pulling things together and then jumping up and down.
Speaking of that, there was quite a bit of the same people kind of coming and going between all the sets.
Yeah.
And when you know, people on the label are making albums, does it come together like that? These people from, who are living in New York, and do you all kind of come together at a certain time and do stuff that way?
It kind of happens a lot here in the studio. So people come here, and we're like, whoever's around works on whatever's needed, really. But I think for the live show, we all like each other's music, so we kind of want to get involved, even though it's not necessarily the same lineup as is on the record, but we try to make the most of the people who are there at the time and just keep it kind of organic.
What do you feel your role is in the live show in relation to the musicians that are playing? How much leeway do you have and do they have in the live performance?
It's a quite unorchestrated set, but I think I'm leaving space for dynamics and different kind of takes on the material, but everyone has kind of a set part, and within that they can play sort of around the material, but and actually what is kind of a nice turnout of the show was that I think everyone was confident enough to allow themselves enough freedom to stray off a little bit and then come back in, and on the rehearsals we kept it quite strict, but then we had more freedom. Your background
in music, were you classically trained or was it a do-it-yourself kind of thing?
It was a bit of both, because I started kind of rock guitar at 9, like playing punk or whatever, and then got interested in classical music around like 13, 14. Started learning the classical guitar and did that for a few years, and so I started the electric guitar and then went on to the classical, and then went off that because that wasn't something that I wanted to do as professionally, be a classical guitarist, but I think it was an important progression, and I'm learning that now that I'm taking, I think, a lot of probably the way I play guitar comes from there rather than the rock school of guitar playing.
It's interesting to see you play live, because I guess a lot of people know your name through the productions you've done with Bjork over the last nearly decade, and most recently with Bonnie Prince Billy. How long have you been actually making records yourself, like your own stuff? I mean, that you've been releasing rather than stuff that you've been making?
Yeah, I've always been writing material, but it's always taken second priority. So there's never been a record of material that I've put together, but I've always had an output for my music through different things, like some visual things that I've made music to, and different things, and like co-writing with people. But I'm just starting to focus on that now.
And is that part of the bedroom community that's its role?
Yeah.
To facilitate you,
absolutely.
Just kind of putting in that. You mentioned the visuals in the show were fantastic.
Oh, thanks.
Did you do those yourself, or are you collaborating with someone on those?
I got a friend of mine to do and we talked about ideas and came up with concepts, and then she went off and took it to a really good place.
Yeah, the synchronisation was something else. Well, I think that we've got to go and catch Johan Johansson right now. I know you're pretty keen to get down there.
Yeah,
but thanks
definitely.
for chatting to us.
Thank you.
And this has been quite fun.